I seek refuge in God from the cursed Satan, and in the name of God, the merciful, the intensely merciful. We've spoken a lot about many different aspects and you can say angles about the will and of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in these short videos. So I think it's very important to dive into another aspect or another angle that is really important to deal with. The angle of the science of man. The science of man, for those who do not know, is a science that is invented by the scholars of religious schools, like say Shia and Sunni schools of Islam. And in order for them to authenticate a hadith, to say this hadith is sahih, if you have heard such a statement, sahih, da'if, weak, authentic, strong, these kind of statements are due to the science of man, the innovation of the science of man. We call it innovation because obviously the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Quran don't mention it at all. Like, it's not something that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith, and here I leave you a method of identifying the true sunnah after me, which is the Quran, the sunnah, and the science of man. So there is no such a clear-cut way for us to actually identify the science of man to be from God. In fact, it is very clear and very accepted by the scholars to say that it is an assumption that was made by the scholars based on their interpretation of certain Quranic verses and a hadith. For example, there is a Quranic verse that says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا. O you who believe, if a fasiq, which is a corrupt person, a not so good person, a bad person, comes to you with news, investigate. So what they take is, let's investigate the fusuq of the person or the corruption of that person. Therefore, once we know he is corrupt or he is lying or he is a liar, then we don't take from him anymore. That's it. We just deny his statements altogether, even if he was at some point reciting Quranic verses, which makes no sense to anyone who has a mind. So it's the idea is that, say for example, that Quranic verse in fact is brought down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had sent one of the companions over to another town to collect money. And so when the companion went over there into that town, he saw them coming towards him from afar away. He got scared. Why? Because he remembered they had issues before. They had problems, personal problems before. So this guy comes back to the Prophet ﷺ and he tells him, O Prophet of Allah, these guys have left Islam. So he lied, obviously. He said that these guys left Islam. So the Prophet, instead of being hasty, he sent another Sahabi at that time, and when he sent that Sahabi, he told him to be at ease. Don't try to investigate the matter, see if they actually really did leave Islam, right? So when he went over there, this next Sahabi, with his group of companions, he sent his spies or his eyes, as mentioned in the narration, to check and to investigate the matter of this town. When they did investigate, they heard the adhan, they saw the people praying. So it was very strange, when they came back to him, they told him the scenario, he went in there, they took the money and they went back to the Prophet and informed him of this occasion. So the Prophet ﷺ knew that then this Quranic verse came down where it says, O you who believe, if a corrupt person comes to you with news, then investigate the news. So they say this means we have to investigate the corrupt news coming from a corrupt source or a corrupt person. That means that we cannot accept it at all. Or somebody who lied at the Prophet once, we don't accept at all anything from them. But that's not the case. We cannot actually just use such a blanket statement to deal with the hadith. The hadith is a much more complicated kind of history that we have to deal with a lot of caution, because denying one hadith, if it's true, it's like denying the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Denying a hadith Qudsi, for example, is denying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we cannot deny a hadith based on, this guy lied once or something like that, which is the standards of the authenticating of the science of man. If somebody is proven to be a liar and consistently is not such a good character, then you cannot accept anything from them. Yet we find them actually in their books becoming so inconsistent that they would use narrations from, and they would take 2/3 of the religion from the person of Aisha, for example, who academically speaking, based on academic standards and their rules and their laws, she should not be in the authentic books based on the history and the methodology of how she walked and how she narrated. So the idea is that they set a standard and then they break it. And the Shi'as, to begin with, they don't even agree on the Rijal themselves, on the men themselves, who's authentic and who's not authentic. So you'll find somebody, the Sheikh of the Shia sect, who authenticates, say 1,000 people, and the next Sheikh would authenticate, for example, 900 people, and 100 of those he make them unauthentic, even though that other sheikh made them authentic. So it's a huge disaster, the science of man, once you go deep into it, and it goes against the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, investigate. How did the Prophet investigate? Is by sending somebody else to check the news, not the person. The person we do not mind. Somebody comes to you and says, hey, there's a building that's burning out there, and there are kids in there. What do you do? Do we deny right away, even if you know that this person is a liar? No, you don't deny right away, because it could possibly be true. So do you believe it right away? Of course you don't, because this guy's a liar. So then what do? The only option you have is to investigate. So you go and check. Okay, now you know. Now if the same person who's a liar comes again and lies again about the same thing or about something else, which is dangerous as well, it is a duty on you to investigate anyway, because one day he could be telling the truth. So that's the idea. We cannot deny the hadith based on the authentication of the scholars. The scholars themselves don't agree on authenticating men. Like the scholars of the Shi'as authenticate different people than the scholars of the Sunnis. So the only way to approach it is how the Ahlul Bayt told us, which is a fair, very safe way. We gather all the books of hadith and we say we believe in it because the hadith is there, the true hadith are there. Then we take it as a history that has come to us, like a tablet from Egypt that has arrived in your hands. Yes, these are all ancient books, 1,000+ years old books of narrations. So we gather them and we say the truth is in it and the falsehood is in it. And the worst thing you can do is say, I don't know. If a hadith is really against the Quran, it is really strange, really weird, making you feel really negative or something like that, then the worst thing you can do is say Allah knows best. That's what the Ahlul Bayt, and you put that hadith to the side. If there's contradictions, you have to put it to the side and say Allah knows best until I find the Imam of my time, and then he will be the one who clarifies that matter for me. So he's the one, the Imam or the Mahdi or Abu Sadiq in this day and age. We believe him to be the authenticator of the hadith. He's the one who knows which hadith is true, which hadith is false. Why? Of course, because he is appointed by the will of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which if you investigate, you'll find quite a heavy amount of resources that talk and mention the will of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from both Shia and Sunni sources. So to deny the will is to deny the only path of guidance, to say the least. Why? Because of a scholar who said, oh, I don't like the narrator here. It doesn't make any sense to us. It's a matter they themselves contradict themselves about as scholars, and so we leave it to the hands of the people to investigate themselves what we're saying. Go ahead and check after us everything that we've said. The narration is there, the Quranic verse is there. You have to investigate the news, not the news giver, because you will never, somebody who's a hypocrite, you will never know whether they are actually good or not. There are many people who, by the narrations, we were told they were hypocrites, to the point where the people, if they knew that they were hypocrites, they would not even believe in any word that they said. But people didn't know. So we cannot actually take such a weak science to authenticate our deen, our religion for us. It doesn't make any sense. So I leave you with this. Please investigate Abu Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. He is the companion of the apparent will. He is the companion of the knowledge which he shared for us, and he is the companion of the banner of allegiances to God. So thank you so much, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.